What is going on, guys? Thank you so very much for joining me right here on Off The Script. This is AEW Dynamite for November 13th, 2019. And man, I'm feeling better. A little bit. This weather's a little fucking crazy, though. Way too cold. Way too soon. I don't know what's going on here on the East Coast. This cold front that came in. Last week it was 60 and hoodie. This week, I brought out the winter jacket today, and it's 30 degrees. Mother Nature, what are you doing, bro? What are you doing? Dynamite tonight was awesome. I don't give a shit what you said about Dynamite in the past. I don't give a shit what you think about AEW. This show was awesome tonight. I loved everything about this show. Still not perfect, but it had a little bit of everything. Unpredictability, chaos, great wrestling, and the Young Bucks did the right thing. Such good fucking guys. We'll talk about everything that happened on tonight's show right here on the podcast. Luchasaurus made his return. We had Chris Jericho in the main event with Sammy G, challenging for the tag team titles against SCU. John Moxley lays down the gauntlet. Who's going to step up? And then Chris Jericho and MJF, one of the best segments in all of pro wrestling this year, which AEW is making a common thing every single week, which I love. We're going to go over it today right here on the podcast. Thank you guys so very much for joining me on this Dynamite review for November 13th, 2019. If you're not following me on social media, I don't know what you're waiting for. We live tweet every Monday. Sadly, that's when we're angry. On Wednesday, we're happy. And then we're back to being angry again on Friday. And then we kind of take a break on Saturday and Sunday, and then right back to being angry again on Monday. You know why. But if you guys that are not following me on social media, at JD from NY206, make sure you guys do that. Twitter is the best place and the easiest place to find me on social media. Follow me on Instagram as well if you guys want to do that. Down below is all the information you need on that. Make sure you guys check out all the other videos that I uploaded on the channel as well, dating back to last week, SmackDown on Fox. We talked about that. Off the Script Part 1 on Saturday. Off the Script Part 2 on Monday because I took Sunday off. Off the Script Elite number 7, your AEW News and Rumors podcast weekly. That was yesterday. And then obviously tonight with Dynamite NXT will be tomorrow morning. Make sure you guys go and check out all those other videos that you might have missed. I would greatly appreciate it. And if you guys want to show some extra appreciation for the podcast, Patreon is always open, never an obligation. I never ask you guys to do anything. I never beg for you guys to donate. If you guys want to do that, patreon.com/JD from NY206. And tonight, the podcast is brought to you by my good friends over at Audible. You guys know the deal. I don't need to spend too much time on this. audibletrial.com/offthescript. Make sure you guys use our unique link. You guys are going to get 30 days free of their service, and that includes one free audiobook of your choice. Now, I've been pushing the Mayor Kane, Glenn Jacobs' new autobiography, I believe, and it's going to be about 8 hours long in audiobook format. He narrates the whole thing. So if you guys are a fan of Glenn Jacobs or a fan of what he did in WWE as the Kane character, Mayor Kane, My Life in Wrestling and Politics, is going to be on sale in a couple of weeks for about $30. You guys can actually pre-order it using our link for free. And that means you're going to get 8 hours of Glenn Jacobs in audiobook format for basically just listening to the podcast. If that sounds good to you, then audibletrial.com/offthescript is the deal for you. And if you guys feel like it's not a good deal, you want to get the audiobook anyway and feel like Audible is just not for you, you can cancel anytime in that 30 days and still get to keep your audiobook for free. What is there to lose, man? Try it out. Do it. Get something for free. Help support the podcast. audibletrial.com/offthescript. So last week, we were all curious to see what AEW would do for their first attempt at a go-home show for a major pay-per-view. And I thought they did a very admirable job for a go-home show. Nothing that broke any new ground. Nothing that really made me jump off my couch and be super excited about the show, because I was already excited about the show before the go-home show. But they did a pretty decent job on building towards the pay-per-view on Saturday. And then we got the Fallout show tonight. And I was curious to see what they would do with the Fallout show. And man, they do a Fallout show better than they do a go-home show, because this was awesome. We've seen highlights from the Full Gear pay-per-view. We've seen all the big happenings that happened on Saturday night. Into the arena, we got the lowdown for what was happening on the show tonight. And then right into the ring with Jon Moxley and Michael Nakazawa. And I'm looking at my TV and I'm like, how many people are looking at Michael Nakazawa now in the ring with his loose-ass yellow tights? How many people are flipping over to NXT right now? All I needed to see was him pull out the baby oil, and I'm like, oh my God. Here's another 100,000 people that AEW lost in the viewership for Wednesday night. But it wasn't as cringe as I thought it would be. It was actually pretty quick and very painless. Jon Moxley wins here with a Death Rider, and that was it. Or he calls it the Paradigm Shift, whatever. Double arm DDT, Nakazawa, goodbye, go to sleep. So Moxley wins. That was pretty much it. Moxley is a beast. He is so happy to be where he is right now. You just see the demeanor. You see the attitude. You see his just body language. It resonates through the TV. He loves what he's doing right now. He loves where his character is going. He loves where his character is right now in his career. It's awesome. This is such a complete polar opposite from what we've seen of him just a year ago. Not even a year ago. This year. This year, in the beginning of 2019. Unbelievable. Took a microphone, and he pretty much threw it back in Tony Khan's face. He says, hey, so that one counts, right? Because of the unsanctioned match with Kenny Omega, he beat Kenny, and it's not going to be a win on his record. So, hey, that one counts, right? He said, he is a lot of things, but one thing he is not is a liar. He said he told everyone exactly what was going to happen in Full Gear, and he delivered as promised. He said Omega will never be the same. Now, we've seen a video package of Omega in the trainer's room, or the doctor's room, and they were looking him over, and you physically seen the scars and the remnants of what the barbed wire did to Kenny Omega's back. He had a black eye. They were shining the little medical flashlight in his eyes, follow the light. And they did not clear him for Dynamite tonight. And then he calmly asked, what about Moxley? Moxley was banged up, but Moxley was cleared by management tonight. So Kenny Omega walked out of the trainer's room. Nakazawa was there. Riho was there. And they looked sad for him because Omega, after hearing Moxley was cleared, and what Omega put himself through, that he was not cleared to compete in Dynamite tonight. Now, I don't know what that means. I don't know if that hurt Kenny's spirit. I don't know if he thinks maybe management thinks highly of Moxley over him. Maybe he feels less of a man compared to Jon Moxley, though he went through the same thing that Moxley did, maybe even worse. I don't know. It's a pretty interesting dynamic there. Obviously, it was used for something. Obviously, it's going to come into play. Otherwise, they wouldn't have shown it. So we'll see what happens with that. But Moxley was incredibly over here. And he said, Omega will never be the same. And Omega called, or Moxley called, rather, Omega a radical son of a bitch. Said he respects him because he had the balls to do something he doesn't think anyone in AEW will have the balls to do, and that is step in the ring with him. Now, he said he will plow through AEW until he is the last man standing. He said he doesn't care how long it takes. He said if anyone wants to test their mortality, and the only man who presents mortal danger in him to step up. He said whoever steps up, say goodbye to their loved ones first, because it's not going to be pretty, and then don't ask for apologies after the fact. So Moxley dropped the microphone after that, walked back through the crowd. He is the king of his domain right now in AEW. This was a great promo. Nothing, again, groundbreaking from Jon Moxley. A very good, intense promo that got across what it needed to get across. Very simple, very direct. Nothing flashy. And it played up to what Jon Moxley is there to do. Cause chaos. For all the fucking people bitching and moaning about Jon Moxley and Kenny Omega at Full Gear, maybe you should go back and watch my video from yesterday where I shit all over everybody that shit on the match. Because you're nothing but a bunch of snowflake pussies. And I mentioned this yesterday. You fucking hypocritical bastards. You want to criticize that match, right? Oh, it's too dangerous. Oh, it's too bloody. Oh, it's too violent. It's too much. Yeah, Jimmy Cordera, some fucking goofball who used to referee for the WWE back in the day, he said it took 4 steps back from what professional wrestling should be. Let me tell you something, bro. I'm looking at a picture for, again, there's a reason why it's up there, because it's one of my favorite matches ever. And it's one of the matches that when I have kids, that's one of the first matches that they're going to see. Mankind and The Undertaker inside Hell in a Cell, 1998, King of the Ring, Pittsburgh. What they did in that match was fucking 20 times worse than what Moxley did with Omega. How many of you that bullshitted the fans of your podcast and fucking wanted to go out there and be different and shit on the match because you knew everybody was going to fucking enjoy it? For those who shit on the match, how many of you have that match in your top matches of all time? Guarantee you, every single one of you. How many of you, and I said this yesterday, you go back and watch Mick Foley versus Edge at WrestleMania. What was it, WrestleMania 23? 22, 23? I'm terrible with numbers. All I remember is Edge being slammed on thumbtacks, Edge being, or Edge spearing Mick Foley through a fucking table that Lita set on fire. Yeah, nobody had a problem with that though, right? That was one of my favorite WrestleMania matches of all time. How many of you enjoyed the 2006 One Night Stand pay-per-view at the Hammerstein Ballroom where it was WWE versus ECW, right? How many of you got that pay-per-view on your list of most favorite pay-per-views of all time? Guarantee you about 90% of you do. So, with the hypocritical garbage that you guys spew in this match's defense or I guess against it, come on. You people are stupid. You don't know what the fuck you're talking about. You just shit on the match because you thought it was a cool thing to do, and it was so against what you usually see on Monday and Friday night that you couldn't wait to shit on it. Oh, it's not pro wrestling, it's barbaric and animalistic. Blow me. Blow me. What they did was more positive than negative. You gotta look for it, but you guys didn't even try. So that's all I have to say about that. Again, I have to defend this match and what they did to the fucking simple-minded idiots out there because they don't know any better. Why do you even watch pro wrestling to begin with? That's why you're here, to learn something. I don't do this for free, you know. Dark Order. I love them. Stu Grayson and Evil Uno. With his creepers. Versus the Jurassic Express, Jungle Boy, and Luchasaurus. As a 12-year-old boy, Marco Stunt came out wearing Luchasaurus mask. I don't know, man. Just makes me miss Luchasaurus all that much more when I see Marco Stunt wearing his fucking mask. This wasn't bad. 9 minutes. Dark Order wins. This one was pretty basic. Nothing here that was over the top amazing. And Jungle Boy and Marco Stunt, honestly, is just a makeshift tag team. They were never going anywhere. They were never going to be a realistic option as far as moving up higher in the ranks in AEW, because Marco Stunt is obviously the weakest link of that team. Nobody's going to look at the Jurassic Express with Marco Stunt involved and take them seriously, especially against every other tag team in AEW. Come on. So for the fact that they lost this match, I don't even give a shit. Dark Order should have won this match just based on who the fuck was in the match with Jungle Boy. So, Dark Order wins here, and they deliver the fatality, which is fucking beautiful, man. Holy shit. I love that finishing move, and the way they execute it, it is a thing of beauty, man. Stu Grayson hit that fucking flatliner off the top rope, off of Evil Uno's back. Unbelievable. I absolutely love that. Dark Order wins. And then afterwards, Uno takes a microphone. And who knew? The big man, the big mask man, has decent promo skills. Uno was surrounded by his army of creepers. And he asked the fans to give it up for Marco Stunt for fighting back despite his stature. Because he's a small little dweeb. He offered Marco Stunt a chance to join them. All you have to do is be one with the Dark Order. He offered him a mask. He had a mask. He wanted Marco Stunt to put on the mask. Stunt reached for the mask. He should have. Probably would have made his fucking career at this point. Jungle Boy intervened. He said, no. Uno says he respects that. But then Grayson and the Creepers attacked Jungle Boy and Marco Stunt. Fans were chanting for Luchasaurus. You knew where this was leading. And even though you all knew where it was leading, it did not take away from the moment whatsoever. So Luchasaurus comes out. He stands on the ramp. And my God, he looked fucking glorious in his white fucking wrestling pants and his mask and his dreads and his long hair. This guy is an absolute fucking stud. He came out and absolutely obliterated one of the creepers that ran up the stage like a fucking idiot. I don't remember what happened, if he kicked him or if he headbutted him. The guy got absolutely blasted on top of the stage. Luchasaurus comes walking down. It's just taking creepers left and right and just manhandling them. He threw one guy into the barricade. He goes into the ring. He gets onto the ring apron. He goes over the top rope, typical big man style. And the fans are chanting, holy shit. Holy shit, for Luchasaurus' return. So, in the ring, Luchasaurus took out three creepers who were guarding the Dark Order. And with one kick, one spinning roundhouse kick, he took all three guys out. And that was it. Excalibur said he was supposed to be out until January. I thought he was supposed to be out till January. He was at StarCast. He trolled everybody and said, it's going to be a few weeks before I come back. Clearly, he trolled everybody, and he was back tonight, and it was a glorious moment. He didn't look like he missed a fucking day. Luchasaurus put Jungle Boy on his shoulders, and this was absolutely fantastic. The Jurassic Express, the real Jurassic Express, is back, and now they can start winning, and man, are they fucking over. They are so over. And if you guys need tag team champions, if you guys need a second tag team champions in this company, these guys right here, Luchasaurus and Jungle Boy, awesome. I can't wait to see what they do now that they're back at 100%. Shawn Spears with Tully Blanchard versus the Librarian, Peter Avalon, and Darby Allin. This was a triple threat match that turned into a one-on-one, I guess, if you want to even say that. Darby Allin wins in 4 minutes. Nothing really all that special here. The Librarian and Darby Allin were left one-on-one because Shawn Spears had to deal with Joey Janela. Now, I don't know if he was drunk. I don't know if he was completely just hammered, blasted. Guy comes down to the ring, and he looks like a homeless guy. He really does. I don't know what the fuck he was wearing. And he comes down the aisle, and he takes out Shawn Spears. They start brawling in the aisleway. Then they start brawling by the barricade. He throws Shawn Spears over the barricade. And I think Jim Ross said he got right into the camera. And he was just like seizuring in front of the camera. And then Shawn Spears and Joey Janela continued to fight over the barricade and into the back, and then they eventually disappeared away from this triple threat match, or what was supposed to be a triple threat match. That was nothing more than Darby Allin versus the Librarian. Jim Ross even said, is he having a stroke or a seizure? So I LOL'd. I don't know why they're continuing this. I don't know why they're fighting. I haven't been paying attention to AEW Dark. Someone fill me in. I mean, the match at Full Gear was okay. It was nothing special, especially to a point where I want to see it again, but it is what it is. And this is why I mentioned on Tuesday's show that I think AEW needs a secondary title. I honestly do think that AEW needs a secondary title because what are these guys fighting? Yeah, they're fighting for wins and losses. But not everybody can get an opportunity at Chris Jericho or whoever the world champion is at that time that they're ready for a world championship match. They need a secondary title. They need a secondary title for the simple fact of, okay, we're going to bestow this guy with a secondary title, and he is going to be our next in line, or who we deem the next in line, potentially, to be at that next level. Because that's what the Intercontinental Championship was always in the WWF back in the day when I was watching WWF. How many of those guys held the Intercontinental Championship? Ultimate Warrior, Bret the Hitman Hart, right? Stone Cold Steve Austin, The Rock. They all went on to become world champions. That's what AEW needs to do. And if Cody has shown you anything, he is going to pay homage to the old school and give us what is sorely missing in pro wrestling. So if that is where they're going, and what I think they're going to be doing, even though Matt and Nick Jackson have kind of debunked the rumors, they're not going to really tell you. I think they're going to introduce a secondary title, and that type of title would be great for guys like Shawn Spears and Darby Allin, guys like that. So hopefully that is the case, because right now these guys are fighting over nothing. Anyway, before I got into that little mini rant, so Joey Janela ran out. Shawn Spears met him on the stage. They were brawling by the stage. They brawled into the crowd. And then Darby Allin and the librarian, Peter Avalon, were left all alone. Darby Allin gave him the stunner. He went up to the top, coffin drop, and that was it. Darby Allin wins. Then he takes the microphone. And he says, Jon Moxley, I accept. And at this point, I'm like, okay, you got me at Jon Moxley. And then he said, I accept. And then I'm waving my money around and I'm saying, take my money. There you go. I'm all in on what you want to do with Jon Moxley. Now, from what I was told when I said those same exact words on social media, from what you guys told me on social media, is that they've already battled on the indies away from AEW. And what they did was fantastic. Now, if they could recreate what they did on the indies here in AEW, then I'm going to love it. So I'm very much looking forward to seeing what they do together. Now, the situation with this is they're two baby faces. I don't want you guys to think that with Jon Moxley and Darby Allin being two baby faces that, oh man, Darby Allin can't lose because he needs some momentum. We all know that Darby Allin is not beating Jon Moxley. We all know that Jon Moxley is not losing for a very long time. That's the reason why they booked him in an unsanctioned match where wins and losses do not count. Because they didn't want to beat either Moxley or Omega officially in AEW. Now, with them being two baby faces, I honestly like this because not only does it shows the character of Darby Allin to step up and have balls where nobody else does, he's going to go into that match and he's going to hang with Jon Moxley every step of the way. Whether he takes the majority of the punishment, he's not going to be defeated very easily. Jon Moxley is going to have a very difficult time putting Darby Allin away. And even though he's a babyface and more than likely, not more than likely, 100% going to lose this thing, even though he does take an official loss, it's not going to affect him in any way because the fans aren't going to think any other way about Darby Allin. You see, they could play this one of two ways. It could build Darby Allin's character, and he could go on his own, and maybe when they create a mid-card title, he could vie for that mid-card title and still be the Darby Allin that everybody loves. Or they could eventually pair Jon Moxley and Darby Allin, and it could be a friendship based out of respect. It could be a future tag team. It could be something that bonds them together because they're cut from the same cloth. They are of the same mentality. And he went to war when nobody else couldn't or wouldn't, and he stood toe-to-toe with Jon Moxley, and even though Moxley said he's going to cut down everybody in AEW, Darby Allin was the first one to step up, and Jon Moxley is going to grow to respect Darby Allin in the end. It's a very interesting situation. But with the two clash of styles, the two similar styles that they have, I think this is going to be a great match. I'm very much looking forward to this next week. Nyla Rose versus Danny Jordan Really nothing much to this match, guys. Glorified squash. Don't really know what else to say about it. All I kind of surmised from this match was that AEW's women's division is sorely lacking, and they really need to do something to start building this division, because right now it's honestly the one thing on social media that people are noticing as the biggest. And it's, I don't want to say the biggest, but it's honestly a fucking eyesore. It is the biggest. It is the biggest. It's a fucking eyesore. This is their weakest link right now, and I don't know what they're going to do. I don't know who they got to go out there and get, but they need to do something and quick, because they cannot operate with who they got right now on a weekly basis and constantly feature women's wrestling every single week with what they got. Now, Nyla Rose, whatever you think about her, that's on you. I don't really mind Nyla Rose. I think she fits the bill. She's dominant. She's big. She's intense. That's what we've seen here. And she's playing the character very well. She's a beast. And the intensity that she brought in this match was a nice little direction. Now, I reported on Tuesday, when I did the Off The Script Elite podcast, that Dustin Rhodes said that there are big plans in store for Nyla Rose, that she's doing excellent. Now, I didn't really see anything new from Nyla Rose here, because this was a glorified squash. This was nothing more than, please don't forget Nyla Rose. But she powerbombed Danny Jordan. That was it. This is just a small step in the direction of those big plans. Nothing more, nothing less. So however you feel about Nyla Rose, get over it. She's going to be on television. And they're going to be building her. And I'm assuming she's the only heel outside of Awesome Kong. Right now, she's the only other woman heel on this roster viable enough to challenge Riho for the Women's Championship. So we could be seeing Nyla Rose as the next in line for the Women's Championship. We'll see what happens. Tony Schiavone, he interviewed Allie. She said that she's shown fans on AEW Dark what she can do, and it's time to do it on Dynamite, which is great. Last time I seen Allie, I was not impressed. Hopefully she got a little bit better. So the lights went out before she can continue to speak, and when they came back on, Awesome Kong was on stage, and Brandy Rhodes. There's something about Brandy Rhodes just walking behind Awesome Kong. I really love the way Brandy Rhodes was walking behind Awesome Kong. She was walking in this zigzag formation. I don't know if you guys noticed that. It was really cool looking. A nice little aesthetic to the Awesome Kong just character that they got going on right now. So Awesome Kong, she just destroyed Allie. Back fist. She slammed Allie on the stage. She threw Allie on the stage. And then Allie was out cold. She sold the attack from Awesome Kong, and she took out that knife that we seen in Full Gear, and she cut a strand of Allie's hair, and then attached Allie's hair to a belt of other women's hair that she has collected. Now, I don't know what's going on. It's like a fucking strip out of a comic book. Like they're collecting this hair from every female that they come across that they don't like. They're going to put it in one big cauldron and create a super evil villain or something like that. I don't know where it's going, but I'm intrigued. I don't know what the end result here is, but I'm intrigued. And I'd much rather Brandy in this role than wrestling or being the Stephanie McMahon of the women's division. Because with the women's division in its current state, I don't really want Brandy to take the fall for it. So I'd rather her be the spokesman or the advocate for Awesome Kong and let Tony Khan worry about the, I guess, rebuilding of the AEW women's division, because they didn't really put a lot of thought into that as of right now. Chris Jericho came out, and he was in the ring. I thought we were getting the tag team match now, but he was simply out for a promo. And this is where AEW is showing you all where WWE is so far behind. He stood in the ring, and he said he is still the Le Champion, much to the chagrin of everyone in Nashville. He said he is the greatest of all time. He demanded a thank you from every member of the AEW roster, including the front office, the back office, and the side office. He said he didn't want thank yous from jackasses in Nashville. He said Cody is an entitled millennial son of a bitch. The lights went out, and Cody, his entrance and his theme music was on TV. Cody is here after we all thought Cody was not going to be here. So we seen the little light structure on the AEW stage rise up. We seen the smoke come up from the stage. Cody's music is on the PA. And out comes MJF. I love it. Absolutely love it. So MJF walks out. Fans are shitting all over MJF. MJF said the fans don't like him, but if it's because he threw in the towel, they should thank him, because had he not, then Cody's career would be over. He said they've been cheering for the real villain. He said Cody couldn't give a shit about any one of them. He said Cody only cares about himself, and he is a user and an abuser. He said Cody is a sociopath who, there's that word again. Cody is a sociopath who he thought could be his puppet. Fans then chanted bullshit at MJF. MJF said what's really bullshit is Cody claiming he ever cared about him. He said Cody didn't want to take him under his wing, but he rather wanted to keep him under his thumb. But guess what, Blondie? Your thumb isn't big enough to keep me down. He said they are now looking at the new face of AEW. He said he is better than Cody, and Cody knows it. They continue to boo him. So now we got MJF squaring off face-to-face with Chris Jericho. So if you thought MJF, and I said this on Saturday, after what MJF did to Cody Rhodes at Full Gear, if you are not watching AEW to see the fallout of what MJF has to say about why he low-blowed and kicked Cody in the balls, then you're completely doing yourself a wrong on Wednesday night. Not only did we get MJF with a live microphone, but we got MJF with a live microphone with Chris Jericho at the same time, face-to-face, back and forth. I don't know why you wouldn't be watching this. If you're a pro wrestling fan, why you are not just tuned in to this and not worried about anything else. This is television gold. This is television gold. MJF told Jericho that if he were to make a Mount Rushmore, that he would make his third or fourth installment. Now, I LOL'd so loudly at that one line. If there was a Mount Rushmore, Jericho would make his third or fourth installment. That is hilarious. He said he heard he wants him to join the Inner Circle. Jericho called him Maxwell because MJF called Chris Jericho Christopher as a formal introduction. So Jericho called him Maxwell and said he heard from a little birdie that he wanted to join the Inner Circle. They talked over each other, comically going back and forth with the claim of the other wanting to join forces. MJF said, listen, crisscross applesauce, I'm sure you'd really love me to join your little Inner Circle jerk. LOL. He called it a... I don't know what he said. I don't know why he said it. I'm laughing now at it. He said something about it just being so like, I just slipped it in there, something like that. He mumbled something under his breath. MJF said he heard Jericho likes to indulge in some of the bubbly, but maybe he likes to drink too much. He said, as the fastest rising star in the history of pro wrestling, it's odd to think he needs him. Jericho said he might want to be a little like Jericho. You know, we're both from Long Island. We're both two guys that have 3-letter nicknames. We both love scarves. We're both funny guys. We're both crushingly handsome. I never heard of the term crushingly handsome before. So, there you go. Jericho giving us another thing that I never heard of. Crushingly handsome. Who says that about themselves? It's almost like your parents got horny watching me beat Juventud Guerrera 25 years ago on WCW Saturday Night, and 9 months later, your little twerp ass popped out. Crowd is going crazy at this point. MJF then asked, after a little bit of a walk away, he walked away to take a little bit of a breather. I know. He had to let that all sink in because Jericho's one of the greatest of all time on the microphone. So MJF comes back and goes face to face with Jericho and says, who the hell is Hoovy? And then Jericho pats him on the shoulder and says, Google it, baby. Google it. Jericho said just being in the ring with him puts MJF on a higher level. Jericho asked if he wants to be in the inner circle. MJF asked him if he wants him to be in the inner circle. It broke down into them talking over each other again and, asking each other back and forth. Do you want to be in the inner circle? Do you want me to be in the inner circle? They went back and forth, and then they asked who the biggest jackass is. Do you know who the biggest jackass is? I know who the biggest jackass is. Do you know who the biggest jackass is? And then they both stopped. And then they both said, Cody Rhodes. And then they hugged. This was absolutely fantastic television. I can't even begin to tell you how you guys need to go out and watch this fucking segment. Cody made his way to the ring. Finally, I didn't even think he was there. He had stitches over the injury that he suffered at Full Gear. Two security guys tried to come out and say, listen, bro, go to the back, fight another day. So he contemplated walking away, and then he ended up just bum rushing to the ring, and he didn't give a shit about himself, the referees, AEW. He didn't give a shit about anybody's well-being. He just wanted MJF and Chris Jericho. So he went right after MJF and Chris Jericho. Cody went for a power slam on Jericho, which was miserably botched. I don't know what happened there. I don't know if you guys seen that, but it was one of those situations where I had to just hold my head down. It was really bad. It was honestly really bad. And he went to power slam Jericho. They tumbled over. And listen, commentary tried to play it off as if Cody Rhodes is just not there. He's just suffering so badly from the head trauma that he suffered at Full Gear. So I love the fact that JR tried to play it off that he was just not all there and that obviously it was because of what happened on Saturday. So hopefully it doesn't really resonate as badly as I think it is going to be with the fans who watched. And JR did a very good job at trying to kind of dumb that situation down. So he went for the power slam, and Cody obviously went after MJF. He gave MJF a drop-down uppercut. He then power slammed Jericho, and they finally got the spot off. Jericho rolled out of the ring. Wardlow! Finally, the debut of Wardlow. All of a sudden, he shows up. He attacks Cody. And then we've seen video of him for months, says Excalibur. He's finally showed up. I'm sure Justin LaBar is somewhere smiling from ear to ear. His boy Wardlow on AEW. He gave Cody looked like a choke slam or whatever. I don't know what the fuck he gave him, but he slammed Cody down. MJF told Wardlow to finish him off. He wrapped Cody's necktie, his own necktie, around his throat and choked him over the top rope. And then MJF pretty much was calling for the destruction of Cody Rhodes there. Referee stopped it, and that was pretty much it. Now, a lot of people are asking, is MJF a part of the inner circle? Is Wardlow a part of the inner circle? I don't think so. I don't think MJF needs the inner circle. MJF was already made into a megastar in this industry just based off the promo work that he did with Chris Jericho moments before this. He doesn't need the inner circle. Like, people like Sammy Guevara need the inner circle. Guys like Santana and Ortiz to get themselves established. They need the inner circle. Jake Hager, after being away so long, it's going to benefit him to be in the inner circle. I think MJF has built up more than enough on his resume to a point where he doesn't need anybody. And after tonight, he doesn't need anybody. Wardlow and MJF are not in the inner circle. Wardlow is now the muscle for MJF. That's all that is. So if you guys are thinking, well, is Wardlow and MJF in the inner circle? No. There are now two separate entities. You got the inner circle, and you got MJF and Wardlow. And they all have one common thing. They don't like Cody Rhodes. I thought this was fantastic. It's as if AEW is carving their own niche in the history of this business as we move on into 2020. This is how segments and promos need to be done moving forward. I cannot ever watch another WWE promo ever again after watching AEW television. I can't. Not in NXT, not on Raw, not on SmackDown. It is all fucking just juvenile garbage. You want to sit there and watch Baron Corbin fucking with a Rottweiler emoji barking like a chihuahua as he calls Roman Reigns bark fucking Chihuahua-esque, right? And then I need the emoji to back up his fucking garbage promo. Meanwhile, I got this shit going on. Why would you ever go back and even credit, legitimately, WWE for doing anything right promo-wise? It is just, it's like it's written for fucking kindergarten kids. Meanwhile, this, it had epic written all over it. It had humor. It had wittiness. It had unpredictability. The crowd ate up everything that they were both saying. MJF is the new face of AEW. And the one thing that I'm thinking about after this promo, Jericho is fantastic, and the reason why he's the AEW champion is blatantly obvious. But if MJF continues at this pace and is able to go back and forth with Chris Jericho in this manner, Chris Jericho and MJF, if he's able to do this, how much longer is Chris Jericho going to have that world championship? How soon is AEW going to take that title off of Chris Jericho, put it on a legitimate babyface, and then give it right back to MJF and have him be the biggest heel in the business, which he already is right now. After what he did to Cody and after tonight, MJF is the biggest and best heel in all of pro wrestling. But I mean, if he continues at this pace, if they want the biggest fucking heel, not only in wrestling, but in their company, look no further. Jericho is that. Jericho right now is the biggest heel. That dent in his armor, that took a huge chunk out of Jericho's armor tonight. MJF, how soon did they take that title and put it on a babyface and then put it on MJF? You gotta wonder, man. You gotta wonder. This was absolutely fantastic television. Pac versus Hangman Page. Now, I don't know why this match was happening. This is one of the things that I did not understand about this show. Not to say that this was a bad match. This actually was. I actually enjoyed this better than their match at Full Gear, even though it was almost move for move, same thing. This was a typical WWE-esque match. Yeah, we'll do it on the pay-per-view, then we'll do it again on Raw. They did it here. They did it on Saturday night. We'll do it again on Wednesday. Pac wins, or Page wins on Saturday, and then Pac wins tonight. So it's typical WWE booking, and then typical WWE booking because they did the 50-50 booking. So who ends up winning here? You had Pac lose on Saturday, and then he gets his win back on Wednesday. What does this do? So where are you going? Are you pushing Page or are you pushing Pac? I don't know. You either go with one or the other. I didn't really understand this. I don't know why this was happening. Not that I really didn't like the match. I just didn't understand why it was happening on the show. Now, if they really wanted to save this, which I think that they should have, if they really want to create a secondary title, their intercontinental title, or whatever the fuck they're going to call it, this could have been saved for semifinals, or this could have been saved as the finals of that tournament, or whatever they plan on doing. I don't know why they didn't wait. Why did we need to see this another time immediately following Saturday? Now, we've seen this match. If you haven't seen their first match, this has got to be, what is this, the fourth time that they fought? 3 times in AEW. Why would I want to see this again? I don't want to see them fight again. This was great, but I'm not really interested in seeing these two in the same ring together. So, at the end of this thing, we had Page giving Pac a brainbuster suplex on the mat. They went for the same spot that they did at the pay-per-view, and Page ended up giving Pac a brainbuster on the mats outside by ringside. Page then hit a buckshot lariat, which was absolutely beautiful for a near fall. So Pac fired back with I think it was a kick after a distraction. Pac went for a low blow. They went for the same spot again. They trapped the referee in the corner. Pac went for the low blow. Page caught the boot because he knew it was coming. Pac then just would not stop kicking Page in the head. So even though Page had blocked the low blow, Pac went right for the head. He grounded Page. He went to go relentlessly just kick him in the head Referee had to pull him away 3 different times. I honestly thought he was going to get disqualified, but the referee did not disqualify him. So Page was laying on his stomach, out cold. And then Pac goes up to the top rope. He does the Black Arrow, and he transitions right into the Brutalizer. And Page is done. He don't even tap out because he's knocked out. So we got pretty much Pac getting his victory back from Saturday night, and Page not tapping out to Pac. I don't understand where they're going with this, or where they're going with either Page or Pac at this point on AEW television. Good, but I just don't understand why it happened. So we go from that, and we go into a unpredictable and chaotic backstage segment with the Young Bucks, Santana and Ortiz. They're brawling. So I think it was Ortiz that went through the table. There was a table. It wasn't catering. It was just a table that was propped up with a black cloth in the loading dock area where they were brawling. So Ortiz went into the table, and Santana sees all these officials and these guards trying to break everything up. He's up on top of a forklift. He jumps off on top of everybody, takes everybody out, takes both Bucks out. He takes all the officials and the referees out. Ortiz then gets back up, and then both he and Santana are beating up Nick Jackson. So Ortiz throws Nick Jackson into a nearby bathroom, and the door swings open, and Orange Cassidy is just standing in the bathroom with his arms crossed. And Ortiz, he goes to close the bath. He looks at Orange Cassidy like he's fucking out of his mind mental. And Ortiz's face when he sees Orange Cassidy there and closes the door as if he disrupted him doing something in there. Meanwhile, he's just standing there. He closed the door ever so lightly. You know, like, I'm sorry to disturb you, bro. Could not stop laughing. I could not stop laughing. And this is why I said AEW is just so fun. It's these unpredictable moments that, you know, it's just a fun show. You can't help but fucking smile and laugh when you're watching this shit. It's just a good time. I love this. So, Cassidy was standing there leaning against the wall. Matt super kicked Ortiz. They brawled through the commercial. We come back from the commercial. They're all on stage. Santana and Ortiz got the better of the Bucks. They double power bombed Matt through the stage, and they took him out completely. Nick, they leaned up against the stage setup. They locked him into the inner lining of the stage, and they started clubbing his knee and his leg with the socks with the baseballs in it. Tennis balls, whatever the fuck they got in there. Imagine if that was really baseballs. Holy shit. Imagine someone swinging that with full force. Unbelievable. So, anyway, they took out Matt. They took out Nick. Matt was powerbombed through the platform in front of the stage, in front of the commentary. He crashed through. Looked great. And then, out come Private Party. Out come Private Party. Now, I think at one point, I don't know who came out. Somebody came out. I don't really recall who it was. But someone came out, and Ortiz was like, all right, we're done. So him and Santana are walking away, and then he goes and rushes this one guy. I don't know, I forgot who it was. And he's like, we lied. And he starts beating him up, and then out comes Private Party. They come to intervene, they come to stop all this, and I'm like, yes. I thought we were going to get a match right then and there. But then commentary announced this was when it all stopped. They broke everything up. Private Party came out there to pretty much stop Proud and Powerful. They stopped Santana and Ortiz. And they gave us the graphic of next week. It's going to be Santana and Ortiz versus Private Party. And then Excalibur on commentary mentioned that Matt Travis passed away on early Saturday morning, and that it will be a match in his memory. And I remember following Full Gear, everybody was very emotional, and I know all my House of Glory family was very emotional. And I tweeted Matt and Nick Jackson, I'm like, hey guys, I would love if you guys consider putting Private Party and Santana and Ortiz in a match on Wednesday's Dynamite following the tragic loss of Matt Travis from House of Glory, being that they all trained together and they all, were a part of the House of Glory family. And he liked the tweet. But I think both Matt and Nick Jackson liked the tweet. Now, I didn't really expect anything to come of it. I don't even think that my tweet had anything to do with this match even happening. I was just happy that I helped get the word out there and they seen it. And I know for a fact that Matt and Nick Jackson were going to do this because that's how genuinely good as people they are. And I know I spoke to Hodge tonight, Big Hodge, Jason from House of Glory. He does the intros to Off the Script and Monday Night Raw, Foliage, and Mr. Dips. He texted me and he said he was in communication with Matt and Nick Jackson, and he said thank you to them, and he was very thankful for them doing this on Dynamite in memory of Matt Travis. And Matt and Nick Jackson replied back to Jason and said it was only the right thing to do. So I am incredibly proud that they are doing this next week for Matt Travis, and it's just an unbelievable match. It's going to be an emotional night, and I can't wait to see what these two do in these two teams. Can't wait to see what these two teams do in an AEW ring, because what they did in a House of Glory ring was fucking fantastic, and what they do in memory of Matt Travis should be off the wall. And I'm sure Matt Travis is going to be looking down unbelievably proud of all four guys. I can't wait to see what happens, and thank you to Matt and Nick Jackson for doing this next week for everybody in my House of Glory family. It's awesome. SCU, Frankie Kazarian and Scorpio Sky with Christopher Daniels versus Sammy Guevara and Chris Jericho. He was out there with Jake Hager, AEW Tag Team title match. I did not understand why this was a tag team. First of all, I didn't understand why this match was happening, number one. Don't know why this match came to be. Seemed like just a random pairing, especially for a main event on a Dynamite show following the pay-per-view. And I don't know why this was a tag team title match. Like I understand Jericho is at a point where he could do whatever he wants. He's got a 7-0 record, which, believe me, I seen. That little graphic showed up on his little graphic underneath his name, 7-0. And I'm like, am I seeing the right thing? Is that 7-0? 0 losses for a champion. We're so conditioned to watch Raw and SmackDown and see a fucking champion lose. So seeing 7-0 was a very refreshing sight, believe me. Did not understand why this match was happening. Did not understand why this was a tag team title match. But I got my reasons. Now, remember when I said this was not a perfect show? This is probably the biggest reason why it wasn't a perfect show. SCU and the Inner Circle. Main event, 12 minutes. Scorpio Sky pins Chris Jericho. Now, Sammy Guevara, he took a lot of the heel heat, or he took a lot of the heat, I should say, in this match. He was definitely the one to get beat down most. He made the tag to Chris Jericho towards the end. Jericho got the tag, and Jake Hager got involved. Jake Hager got involved behind the referee's back, and he pulled Kazarian out of the ring, knocked him down with a running clothesline. Guevara rolled up Sky for a near fall. Daniels dove through the ropes because he wasn't in the match. He came into the ring, dove through the ropes on top of Hager, and they were brawling on the outside. And then he got thrown into the barricade by Hager as well. And nasty. He got thrown into the barricade. Nasty. So Jericho then tagged in. Guevara landed a spinning hook kick. Jericho tagged in. It was Jericho and Sky. Sky landed a Thez press. And Jericho tried his best to block. He gave Jericho a TKO for a near fall, which looked very nice. And then Jericho avoided a flying elbow drop. Went for a lion salt. Sky moved out of the way, got the knees up. Went for a cutter. Jericho blocked it, landed the code breaker for a near fall. Sky then with a small package out of nowhere. And he pinned the AEW World Champion. He pinned Chris Jericho. And SCU retains the AEW Tag Team titles. Now, Why is Chris Jericho losing on AEW Dynamite as their world champion? Why would you even think about putting a blemish on his record? I don't really understand that. Why wouldn't you pin Sammy Guevara? Again, I have to ask why this match is even happening and why this match is for the tag team titles. I don't know why. The only thing I could honestly come up with is the fact that being that Scorpio Sky was the one to pin Jericho and not Kazarian, is that AEW is going to give Scorpio Sky a major singles push. Now, I know that SCU came out and said that there is no Freebird rule in AEW. They will not be doing what the New Day does in WWE. It will not be a rotation of teams for SCU defending the Tag Team Championships, which I think is a mistake. Now, if you look at SCU, I honestly think that they are AEW's New Day. Now, they aren't as charismatic. They aren't as flamboyant. But if they wanted to use the Freebird rule, I honestly think it would actually benefit AEW. Because it would be unpredictable. It would be something to offer SCU in a different light on a weekly basis. We wouldn't see the same team go up against new challengers every single week. It could be a mix and match of different guys. You know, it could be Sky and Daniels. It could be Sky and Kazarian. It could be Kazarian and Daniels. You never know. And it could be a great way to kind of throw off the other team as well, because you never know who you're going to get. You could be preparing for one squad, or you could be preparing for the other, you know? So the other team has to do a little bit more work. And at the same time, if they want to utilize the Freebird rule, it could also give AEW the opportunity to push Scorpio Sky, because if you're going to use the Freebird rule, you could give Kazarian and Daniels the obligation of defending the Tag Team Championships, while Scorpio Sky is still obviously labeled as a Tag Team Champion. He could go on and maybe challenge for a world championship. Now, this is the only reason I have as to why he pinned Chris Jericho. Of all people, Chris Jericho taking a pin. I don't understand. Outside that, I don't understand. I don't know. I don't know what else to give you guys. Why is the world champion losing on television? I thought AEW was smarter than that. This is something that I fucking constantly shit all over WWE for. Your world champion should not be put in a situation on your weekly television show, in this situation, to lose. Now he's got a blemish on his record. Yeah, he's 7-0, singles, but he's not undefeated anymore. He suffered a pinfall, clean. And Jake Hager was outside. He suffered a pinfall clean against Scorpio Sky. What does that mean? Clearly, Scorpio Sky is being set up for something more. I don't know what else it could be. And, on top of that, honestly, AEW, I don't know when we're going to get it. But AEW needs to have their time management. It seems like some weeks they were okay. And the majority of the weeks, it seems rushed. Now, I don't know if they're not leaving the main event with enough time. I don't know if, audibles are being called, or they're rushing through the finish because they know that they only have 2 minutes left for TV time. They need to let the main event breathe. I don't want the show to go off the air with this rushed feeling. Like the pinfall came out of nowhere and then the show was over. Like, leave the main event enough time to breathe and then give everything else, that happens. The pinfall, the unpredictability of it, the shock factor of it. Time to just settle in before you go off the air. It's like, oh my God, Scorpio Sky pinned Chris Jericho. We'll see you next week. Now, Chris Jericho obviously was fucking upset. He looked like he wanted to cry. He took steel chairs. He started throwing them into the ring. He ripped the barricade off. He flipped over the timekeeper's table. He was destroying the ringside area. Took a steel chair. He was smashing the barricade. It looked like he was fucking crying and weeping as he was taking the steel chair and hitting the steel post. And that's the way they went off the air. Leave the main event enough time to breathe, and then, especially with what happened tonight, something like that, let it just settle. Don't rush off the air like that, man. So, again, champion being pinned, not for that, never for that, no matter what promotion I'm watching. And the simple fact that they still have not managed to get the time management down for these main events. Now, the show was great, but they still have things here and there that are an issue. And I hope those issues are squared away sooner rather than later. Because even though the shows have been great, and even though we all see them getting better as far as what they've been producing on TV and the presentation of how everything is going, those little things, if they keep adding up, that's all people are going to pinpoint. And then people are going to start talking shit on social media. Oh, WWE is so much better. AEW comes off as amateurish. They can't get this little thing right. Etc., etc., etc. So I hope that they get that stuff right. And it's the little things that matter most, because those are the things that people are going to pick apart the most. Thank you guys so very much for joining me here on the podcast today, man. You don't know how difficult it was for me to get through this entire show without coughing. So if you guys have seen a little bit more of the transition edits in this particular podcast than normal, it's because I had to cough a lung up and then I had to start all over at a particular segment. So hopefully you guys enjoyed the podcast. Hopefully I'm better by Friday when I have to do the majority of my weekend's work, SmackDown and then Off the Script. Hopefully we don't have to cough as much come the weekend. And then I got House of Glory, the memorial show for Matt Travis, No Limit, at the NYC Arena in Queens, man. Should be a good one. Thank you guys so very much for joining me here on the podcast. Follow me on social media at JD from NY206. That's on Twitter and Instagram. Patreon.com/JD from NY206. Hit that subscribe button down below. Turn on that bell for all notifications. Guys, I'll see you tomorrow morning. NXT, thank you so very much. Hit that thumbs up. Have a cold beverage for me. Actually, no, don't even have a cold beverage for me. Have a hot tea for me, because that's what I'm going to be doing before I go to sleep tonight. See you guys tomorrow morning for NXT. Until then, hit that thumbs up. I'll see you right back here tomorrow morning for more content on the channel. See you guys then.